stand for the, let's do the roll call, and then we'll do pledge of allegiance.
Commissioner Conant? Commissioner Conant?
Aye, here.
Commissioner Ziegenmeier? Commissioner Baumgarten?
Here.
Commissioner Wooten? Commissioner Munger? Here. Commissioner Cochran? Here. Commissioner Elphick? Commissioner Baines? Commissioner Chapdelaine?
Here.
Commissioner Cardoza?
Here. Okay, now we'll stand for the salute and flag. John, would you like to lead us in the salute?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Now, Mike Ziegenmeier is supposed to be running late. I don't know about the other guys who aren't here, but Mike should be here in 5 or 10 minutes. But we're just going to plow forward here because it is 2 o'clock. Okay. Moving on, approval of the agenda. Do we have any deletions or additions or changes? Do we have a motion?
Move to approve?
I would like to.
No.
Us to not have item 10 or modify item 10 as far as the RFP. Is it item 10?
I know you were saying, well, we were going to keep it in there, John, and just talk about it. Yeah. Okay.
Move to approve?
Move to approve. Motion by Cardoza. We have a second? Second?
Come on up.
Okay. We have nobody online, so we can do this as a actual voice vote, right? Yes? Okay. What was that? Oh, yeah, but this is just a motion for approve the agenda. We can do that. Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passed unanimously. Okay, public comment. Is there any public comment? Doug? No? Nobody? Okay, moving on. Item number 3. Approval of minutes for January 12th meeting. A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, who made that motion, please? Okay, thank you.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passed unanimously. Consent agenda.
Motion.
We have a Cochran motion. Second?
Second.
Second. Okay. A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion passed unanimously. Okay. Next item is a public hearing, RE 2023-2024 LAFCO annual budget. John, you want to take this one?
Does that work? Are these on? Yes. Oh, okay. I've prepared a budget justification report. It's quite similar to previous years, and I'll just go through it. We haven't gotten a final determination yet on the liability insurance, and it's normally $2,600. I left that figure alone. Office expenses, I left alone, and you can see all this in following the matrix that I prepared. Printing and copying, postage, memberships is, for Cal LAFCO is going up 8.27%. It's what they're concluding is the consumer price index. I disagree, but that's okay. But it is around 8% more or less. I looked for it yesterday. I mean, it could have said 40% on some items, but 8.27%. So that's going to go up a little bit this year to 2738. Executive officers and clerk services left alone. Training and Cal LAFCO. This is one I need to talk to you about because Again, Cal LAFCO is raising its registration fees a little bit, about $50 each. But when Mike Ziegenmeyer was here and talked about the Cal LAFCO conference, recommended all of you go. Well, it's going to cost about, I'd say, between $1,700 and $1,800 a person. Of course, there's some cost savings if you room together or you drive together, but that's what it costs. And what I did was, in this budget, I determined, okay, 5 persons. And that's what I put in here. So we're going to send 5 people. It is in Monterey, no driving this year. Based on what I've saw from the Newport Beach conference, and what I'm seeing from the staff conference coming up is that there's going to be a good program. Cal LAFCO stepped it up a little bit. So if you don't have a problem with 5 people going, we can, whether you do or you don't, it can be amended at the May meeting when we do our final budget. It's just that these conferences over the years have gotten expensive, and so we just need to be aware of it. And the only thing I would ask is that if you're not going to go and you're going to cancel, let me know before we lose the $610 registration fee. That would be my only caveat with that, and I know it's difficult, but sometimes it does happen. So the rest of the items, legal services, the same. Communications, the same. The service review updates and all that, I just have been keeping the same in there. Scanning and mapping, that's one of the things is file scanning. It's been my lifetime goal, it sounds like it will be, is to get the files, the appropriate LAFCO files scanned so that we have them electronically. One of the things I was thinking is for next year is working on getting the website in a little bit better shape than it is now. It's in fact, in Yuba County, we're going to a whole different service provider, but it's my test run. I want to see how it works in Yuba County, and if it works there, it should work here. So the service review, the file scanning, and so the subtotal shows about an $8,000 increase. Mostly that is because of the conference costs, and the contingency is 10%. That's our normal policy. The reserve fund have it all the same. So the cost for the cities, the districts, and the county would be approximately $2,500 more, $3,000 more, there more or less. So that's the proposed budget. We after this gets adopted, it gets sent to the districts and the cities and the county. And then we hold a public hearing, and I believe it is on May 17th. I don't know. I get my dates all messed up, but it's at the next LAFCO meeting anyway. May 11th. Thanks.
I think that looks good, John. I think, like you said, we don't know the insurance number anyway, and maybe people will have time to think about this conference and get people signed up or taken off, one of the two, before that next changeover. Because you're not going to know you probably won't know the cost of insurance for another 2-3 months, huh?
Right. They'll let me know. I know that generally insurance companies, we're with GSRMA, but I know the SDRMA, the Special Districts Association, they're raising theirs 15 or 20%. And what they use a little psychology. They send a letter out with a really high budget amount. And I talked to one of their board of directors last year, and I said, why do you guys do this? You scare all of us. And she said, we do that, and then we lower it later. But GSRMA is it's pretty much local, being based in Willows. But insurance rates are going up. So that's a check. We'll check that to see if that can be lowered or upped or whatever. But it's good insurance, so no problems there.
Okay.
Nothing. I don't have anything else to report. One thing in the LAFCO fees that Butte County and Yuba LAFCO, Yuba County and Colusa County have done is they've indexed the fee deposits or the fee costs of the fee based on the employment cost index annually. And so there's these automatic increases that occur, but they are all ratified by the commission. Like this year to date or last year, the employment cost index went up 4.8%, for example. So the fees, if we're charging a $100 charge out, it would be $104.80. So it's just one thing to be aware of. That way you don't get caught with fees 10 years down the road that are woefully inadequate and don't cover the cost of anything. So it's just something to think about. And if you want me to go ahead and do that, I have the formula and the template, thanks to Butte and some of the other counties, that we could raise those fees to match the employment cost index. So that's really my comment on revenues.
What's the pleasure? Would you make a comment?
I did have a quick question about one of the items. It indicated in the report, and I don't have any issues with any of the funding, it said that a request from Yuba City to amend its sphere of influence caught me off guard.
Well, what's happened is this was carryover from last year, from the year before. The city, remember we did an update sphere of influence for Yuba City, and it was indicated at the time, well, in a couple of years, we're going to be looking at amending the entire sphere. Maybe Ben can speak to that more than I can. But it's something that's looming in the future. Not that we're going to do it, but because when we did the sphere for the Bogue-Stewart master plan, I went through the entire document, and so did the city's consultant. So in my opinion, it's pretty fresh. So that may be something that we might not. We're probably not going to do it this year unless the city says, yes, we got to do it.
I don't know of any plans for us to bring anything forward. I understand it's just a placeholder, so.
It
hasn't already been done, right?
Yeah.
I think it was also indexed into when the city's updating its general plan. And we don't want to do a sphere of influence update until the city's completed its general plan update.
Yeah.
And I don't know when that's going to occur. Do you guys have you program that out any?
Maybe a few months, right? Yeah.
So you're going to. So you're going to start it in a few months. And then what we'll do is we'll take a look at the general plan amendment, me and Doug, and we'll determine if there's any sphere of influence work that needs to be done, or we may do a minor amendment that might be as much as or as little as a resolution before the commission, amending one or two things.
Go ahead, Doug.
Yes, thanks. This is Doug Libby with the City of Yuba City. Just wanted to clarify, so the city did a municipal service review and sphere update as part of the Bogue-Stewart master plan that was approved a couple years ago. The city is in the process of doing an update to its general plan, but it's not going to change the land use. And so the current sphere boundary that is established is not proposed to change.
So you don't foresee any sphere of influence changes in the next 5 years, probably.
Yeah, I'd say not at this time, no.
Unless it had to do with the CSGs, if there was some sort of fire service boundary.
Yeah, unless it had to do with some specific service, or, the map isn't going to change, but there could be some policy changes that affect it. I don't know until the city's done with its plan. Most likely not, but.
So what's you guys' pleasure? You want to leave it in there or take it out?
I would leave it in. I don't think I was just trying to provide a little.
I agree that it's.
I just wanted to provide a little bit of clarification that there's nothing, as I sit here today, and as Doug has explained, there's nothing impending from the city to do anything with its sphere of influence.
Because we
Through
did
the
that.
chair,
Okay.
through the chair.
Yes, go ahead.
We have the people from the city here. What is the next time you're doing a housing element update?
So cities and counties were actually required to update their housing elements after, in our area, after SACOG released the updated RENA numbers. And Yuba City completed its housing element update in the spring of last year.
Okay.
And so most jurisdictions, including Yuba City, is on an 8-year review cycle. So it won't be, now that we just updated it, it won't be updated again for another 8 years.
Thank you.
And the county's bringing forward a similar thing. We do it every year to look at the affordability of housing report, and that'll be coming on, we heard it today at Public Works, but it'll come forward probably 2 meetings from now.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Through the chair?
Yeah, oh, sorry, Manny.
Yeah, John, different topic, the insurance costs. If we move forward and, do it at the cost that they're saying it's going to be, and it'll be, voted on in a couple of months, can it be changed if it drops significantly, or does it have to stay that way for the full year of the budget?
If it,
Well, like I
if
said,
it goes up?
Yeah, you say it's tentative, it's going to be this much, and if we approve it at this much, if it lowers, can we change it at a later date?
Well, what I'll do is, we'll just keep the money in the budget but not spend it. And
Okay.
then next year, again, we're hitting that cycle again. We'll amend it.
Okay,
I just don't want it to fall short,
Okay.
is all.
thank you.
Okay, so we have heard that comments on the public hearing for the LAFCO budget. Is there any other comments on that budget? Is there a motion to approve the budget? Public hearing. Right, but we gotta have, that's right. We gotta open the public hearing. Okay, we've been doing that for a while, anyway. Okay, so we open the public hearing. Is there any other public comment? Hearing none, we close the public hearing. Thank you, Larry. I forgot we were supposed to do that one. And now, do we have a motion?
Second.
A motion by Munger and Moongartner, second. I guess we need a roll call for this one.
Commissioner Conant,
Aye.
Commissioner Moongarden,
Aye.
Commissioner Munger,
Aye.
Commissioner Cochran, Commissioner Elphick, Commissioner Chapdelaine.
Yes.
Motion passes. Okay. Item number 6, we were thinking about actually pulling this one, but I'd like to make a couple of comments on this. John was thinking about retiring, and so Mark and I and a few other, our staffs and councils have been talking about it. And our plan was to bring somebody from the city forward, and the county would do the legal side of it. And, but I think we're gonna have a continued discussion with that and John and the council and the board and try to come up with a plan for the LAFCO's executive officer. And Mark, did you?
Yeah, just, John had signaled to us that he was going to retire in June, and the city and the county began discussions in anticipation of that, which is why we kind of held off on the RFP for the new person last time was, is this something that we might be able to take in-house and accommodate? And so there's been a lot of planning and a lot of discussion about that in-house, and then John let us know about this, so I
That's
think.
what happens when you take a vacation and you come back relaxed and you're not. I
Rejuvenated.
just have to monitor myself and go somewhere every 6 months.
Yeah. So this doesn't in any way or shape or form reflect on John. We were just working with the information we had, which was that he was going to be departing us. So I think at this point, it would be my recommendation that we sort of regroup and kind of figure out where we're at, because we've got a lot of things in motion.
Right.
And that's okay, but there were probably some other alternatives that you should look at. And also keep all of your thoughts. Don't get rid of them, because one of these days I will actually go, or there will be change.
So my suggestion through the chair would be is that you consider appointing Commissioner Conant, Chair Conant, and myself to an ad hoc committee. We can get together with John, and we can get together with the city staff and try to make a plan going forward.
Through the
Right.
chair, I just this is the first I'm aware of thinking about bringing it up like through the city as an executive. Now, I know I've been on LAFCO committees for some time. And the executive office is such a unique position. It has to have some very unique knowledge. And I would certainly leave it open. I mean, that is one idea to bring it up through the ranks. That's great. But I would say it certainly needs to be open up to the general areas. I would be very concerned if that's all you're looking at.
So our plan was to bring a city member forward as the director, and then John would kind of groom them and bring them into the fold and make sure that, and they would work together for a period of time. And that's what Mark and I and the council and the board were thinking.
I think I'd still have a big concern on that because it would take more than a year or better for someone to really understand the laws. I mean, we know we have the attorney, Scott, but the executive officer is the driving force. And if you don't know the knowledge that you should have, that you get really from going to school that specializes in the LAFCO, then you could get in some huge problems. And having the county handle the legal end is, I've seen that happen and I've worked with it, and it's not, I don't think it's a very good idea. I don't think it gives you the necessary information you need to have, because it has to be someone really on the legal end, very versed in the LAFCO laws. End of comments. Thank you.
Through the chair.
Yeah, Larry.
Actually, for the years I was on the board, Doug was actually a leader. He was the LAFCO executive officer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what happened is Cortez-Enotz-Hertzberg passed.
Yeah.
And it put Doug's position in as being a county employee and county council in a little precarious position legally. But it's not, there's no question that Doug could take over. I mean, that's not the issue. As far as the specialty goes with LAFCO, there are so many nuances in the LAFCO law. And I remember we got sued in Yuba County. Had it not been having expertise in LAFCO, there's a chance that we could have lost one of these cases. And we happened to have Scott, and we had Michael Colantuno also at the same time, and Marcia Birch. We had a good legal team. But I think that, that when the committee meets, that all of these items could be discussed and categorized, and it's not going to happen like in June. So, but we got time.
We got some time to work on this.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that the first day of the Commission on Local Governance for the 21st Century, there was a motion made by one of the attendees, and it was seconded. It was to abolish counties. That's how the animosity was. And if you read that report, counties they didn't like counties at the time. I mean, just reading it, you can see between the lines. However, what happened was the auditor got stripped of their authority. The county council essentially got stripped of their authority. The EO was recommended to be independent. Cities paid half the cost of LAFCO. I mean, there were all these things that happened, and that was 20 years ago. But anyway, I'm thinking it's been 20 years. Let's look at all of these alternatives, because I'm interested, and I'll be the first one to admit if we circulated an RFP for an executive officer today, we would get a big zero probably in return. I just don't see it's out there. I was talking to another LAFCO officer yesterday. There's just nothing out there. You're lucky to have Doug in-house that can interface with me and ask the hard questions.
Okay, so Mark brought up an idea of having a subcommittee of you and I to work with John and staff.
Certainly taking in.
We'd have to have a motion for that, right? So, but we have not agendized that. We can't do that, correct? Have to bring it forward to the next meeting? Or we can do it now?
We could do it at the next meeting. I mean, it doesn't matter. Can they do it now is the question.
Not agendized. The subcommittee. I don't know if. Yeah, I know, and I'm just kind of, that might be a stretch.
I don't see where it's a stretch to assign or appoint an ad hoc committee to continue the process of
I'm number 6.
discussing, the Sutter LAFCO executive officer.
I think within the scope of item 6, you could appoint an ad hoc committee.
Okay. So is there any, the board have any concerns about that?
Before you do that, you can have up to 3 in this LAFCO because you have a 7-member commission,
Right.
just to let you know that.
Who else would we put? Somebody else want to do it?
How about you, Mr. Munger? You have a lot of history with some LAFCOs.
I will.
Okay. So maybe Mr. Munger, myself, and Mr. Boomgartner will be the, yeah,
Boom Garden.
Boomgartner. No R.
No.
Okay. Would be the committee, and we will meet with staff and with John. And and I don't think this is going to be something we're going to nail down, and by the next meeting, I think we're going to have several months to work it on. All right. So that's what we're going to do. We don't need a motion. We're just going to take this action, correct?
I think it would be appropriate to have a motion.
Okay. Someone make a motion stating that?
I'll move to approve that.
Okay. So we have a motion stating that Mr. I'm so used to saying Boomgarden and Mr. Munger and myself will be the committee working with John and county and city staff.
Second it.
All in favor?
Motion is second.
Oh, we need a second, yeah.
Second.
Needed.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right. Number 6 is done. All right, number 7. John.
I have a few things. That Tierra Buena, Yuba City subsidiary district, I've been talking to city staff and the city attorney about this for a while. And it's something that we're going to receive an application on to dissolve this district. It no longer serves a purpose. My only question is the boundaries, and I'm going to have to meet with Doug on this one because he was the EO back in the 90s. And I just got some general questions. We're totally in favor of this. It's just what form it's going to take in the cleanest way. And hopefully that'll go out. We'll probably need some sort of a tax sharing resolution to be approved by the Board of Supervisors. So it may take longer than I'd like it. The next one's Levy District number 1. They're doing a large annexation. And that is going to, I've received a copy. Sean Menard sent me a copy of the tax sharing resolution that was approved by the board. So that's going to go up for the May meeting. And the 700 forms are due April 1st. Send them over for LAFCO. Give them to Paige. And if I get them, I'll get them to Paige too. So it doesn't matter. And those are the 3 major things. We do have a Cal LAFCO staff workshop in Murphy's, California, which the 58 LAFCO staff will be attending, or 57, because Kern County's not in LAFCO, Cal LAFCO for some reason. And so the agenda looks good. I've been working on the program with the program committee, and the executive officer from Placer County is Placer LAFCO's the chair of that committee. So anyway, that's really about it for now. Haven't received any new inquiries.
Okay. Thank you, John. The Levy District 1 annexation was also approved by the county already last board meeting.
Right.
Through the chair, just had one question. On the MSR, on the fire districts, where are we at on that?
Well, I've been kind of inundated with budgeting right now, and I'm working on it to get something to you. The more I think about that project, the more chagrin I have, I guess is the word. It's going to all come down to funding. That's an issue with fire protection, and ambulance and EMS is a big issue too. That can't be forgotten. And that's probably a bigger issue than fire protection, since it's 90% of what they do. Another part of that is the Sutter Point development, how that's going to take shape and how those services are going to be funded in that area. I mean, that's just another issue. It looks like the cities with the CSAG and that seems to be okay. But anyway, so I'm working on it.
Okay. Number 8, commissioner reports. Anybody have it, Larry? No?
Nothing, thank you.
Nothing down there? You guys, nothing? Okay. Number 8's done. Is there, and that's it. So anything else brought before the group? None? Meeting adjourned.